Right, so good morning everyone, and welcome to the peer support group for diabetes. My name's Faye and I'm from Doncaster, and then we've also got my colleague Marianne, who's from Doncaster as well. Today we've got Anna, who is a dietitian for the NHS and self-employed as well, so she's a freelance dietitian, and she's here to give you some advice regarding your diabetes and your diet and during COVID-19, and she's here to take any questions, so I will hand over to you, Anna.
Lovely. So as stated, I'm a registered dietitian, working predominantly within sort of Rotherham, and I will also work as well as a private dietitian. But I think today I just wanted to really have it more as an open discussion. If anyone's got any questions that they really want answering, getting hold of the right healthcare professionals during COVID-19 in some areas has been quite difficult. Just because, as you're aware, GP practices are keeping things quite limited. So really it's just your opportunity to ask any questions that you might have, or if you've read anything in the media, just really to get the fact from fiction, so to say, about nutrition when it comes to COVID-19, and I'll relate that where I can do with diabetes as well. Okay, so I'll get started. So when it comes to COVID-19, I think we're looking for anything and everything we can do to sort of prevent catching it, number one, and what we can do if we do catch it. There's been quite a lot in the media about the use of supplements and that it can help prevent you catching COVID-19. Unfortunately, there is no supplement that is currently is behind evidence that we would suggest to take. So people think about vitamin C. We always think about vitamin C and oranges, and it can boost our immune, but unfortunately that's sort of a myth in itself. Vitamin C does contribute towards helping our immune system, but it's not like a boost, an immune boosting supplement. So I would just recommend people that have really a healthy, balanced diet in order to ensure that they're getting sufficient vitamin and minerals. So having regular meals, in particular with their diabetes, this will help to control your blood sugars, which includes the carbohydrate source within that as well. Often when it comes to sort of the carbohydrate source, we just say be mindful on the portion sizes for your diabetes. But when it comes to sort of carbohydrates and COVID-19, there is no evidence around that as well. So we would just say keep having your carbohydrates in your diet in moderate amounts and good portion sizes. Please, if anyone's got any questions, just shout it out while I'm talking. I'm happy to do that as well. So having a healthy, balanced diet, regular meals, including carbohydrate sources within that, will really is the best diet for keeping you well, but there is nothing out there to sort of prevent you getting COVID-19. There's bits about vitamin D. We would recommend when it comes to vitamin D that during the winter and autumn months that everybody takes a vitamin D supplementation. So that's 10 micrograms, which can be bought over the counter at your local pharmacist or even just in supermarkets. We wouldn't recommend that you take a multivitamin that contains vitamin D and vitamin D on its own. We would just say to have just the one source of vitamin D in terms of supplementation. Why do we recommend this? So vitamin D is well known as the sunshine vitamin, and the only way that is a good source of us producing it is through the sunlight. We do get bits and bobs in our diet, but it's not very well absorbed, and we don't really know how much of that we are really getting. So we say and in particular at the minute, that if you're inside and let's say if you are shielding because of maybe your diabetes and you've been recommended to stay inside for the 12 weeks, we would recommend that you do take the vitamin D supplementation during that time, just because you're not getting out and getting the sunlight as well. We used to have guidance on how much sunlight, back maybe 5 or 6 years ago, it was 15 minutes during the hours of certain times. We don't currently recommend that anymore. We haven't got a specific time or how long you should be in the sunshine, but if you're an individual, let's say maybe works during the day and you're based in an office and you don't get out and about, and maybe you might just catch sunlight here and there, then we would recommend that vitamin D supplementation all year round. Any questions? I don't know, please just shout it out if anyone else got any questions. And say
one of the problems with shops being closed is trying to get hold of vitamin D tablets.
Yeah, and I think we're going to touch base a little bit on nutrition and shops being like even panic buying and what to do in them sort of situations. I know like Aldi, Lidl, Asda, them type of supermarkets do sell vitamin D supplementation, but it's a difficult one at the minute because everyone's sort of read things in the news and they've gone out and bought a lot of it, and them type of supplements, even vitamin C, even though there's absolutely no evidence, people have panic bought them and giving them to everyone and anyone. But what we don't know is what harm on overdosing on some of these supplements can do. So I think if you are sort of struggling to get hold of it, I mean, your local pharmacist probably will get you it in, just to see if they can get you, and they can advise on that as well around other medications. If they think, like, let's say if you are on a multivitamin and it doesn't contain vitamin D, then you would be fine just having the vitamin D supplementation. So we don't fully know what vitamin D really does in our body and what the deficiencies and consequences of that are. It's a massive field of research, and it'll be interesting to see over the coming years what actually comes out of vitamin D deficiency. But it's a really good question, because even just whether it's vitamin D or whether it's fruit and vegetables, everybody sort of initially panic bought that much that there was nothing. I think the only things that was available in the supermarket were toilet roll, because they managed to get some more back in. So I think it's just something that I would say. So when it comes to like your fruit and vegetables, if you are going into supermarkets and you're finding that there isn't a wide range, whether that be frozen, tinned, fresh, they're all as nourishing as each other. In particular, if you are shielding and somebody's going to buy your fruit and vegetables, you know, it's quite difficult to get through a full pack of bananas when you're one individual, let's say. So I would say, like, if you can buy like tinned fruits, they do keep a little bit longer, and then you can have them when you're ready to have them. With your diabetes, I would sort of say just be mindful that sometimes they are in syrup, so we would recommend the ones that are in like a fresh juice to get them ones, because they can contain a lot of sugar when they are in the syrup versions. And even if like just rotating your stock around in your cupboards, I think it's an opportunity for everybody to get through maybe what they've got in their house. They might have tins from 10 years ago that maybe, you know, and it's a good opportunity for people to try and utilise what they already have in their house. And as I say, whether that be mushy peas or kidney beans or anything that's tinned, that they're still as nourishing as the fresh versions as well. And in terms of sort of, there were quite a lot, I think just before we went into lockdown, there was people saying, oh, stop drinking water or drink lots of water to flush COVID out your system. That is actually, again, a myth. So COVID-19 is a respiratory condition, and there's nothing that can really sort of flush it away and get rid of it. People wondered about whether they were transmitting it on food and food packages. That's another concern. But again, because it is a respiratory disease, currently there is no evidence to suggest that has happened. But again, when it comes to sort of food and food hygiene, we just recommend that you're washing your foods as you should be, you know, like your fresh fruit and vegetables where possible. But again, there is no sort of evidence out there to suggest that COVID-19 is transmission on foods and packages as well. But that's not to say that you want to be mindful and washing them down and picking them up as you want. That is absolutely fine. That's your sort of personal choice. One of the things I'll get a lot of questions about is during lockdown, understandably, everybody's feeling quite anxious and sort of not knowing the next steps. When will we come out of lockdown? What will happen in the future? And them anxieties can affect people's mental health and their relationship with food. So some people, when they're feeling anxious, might overeat and might have found that in lockdown they can't stop snacking because they've got nothing else to do. But some individuals might sort of think, actually, because I'm feeling so anxious, I don't have an appetite. But these are two really critical things to think about. So when it comes to sort of, I'll go into the little bit of overeating and the snacking, and I think that's probably the majority of the individuals that when it comes to sort of how we're feeling at the minute, because there's nothing else to do other than eat. I think one thing I would say is ask yourself, are you hungry? Are you really hungry? Or is it just actually because you're bored? Can you fill that element of boredom with board games, Sudoku, and puzzles, things like that. Maybe don't fill it with watching the news, because that can make you feel more anxious as well sometimes. Things are changing hour by hour. Media is publicising anything and grappling onto anything that they think that the government has said, and twisting that and making that into another statement. I think until that current guidance or evidence from the government is changing, then they're the people that we need to sort of be listening to, because the media can make us feel more anxious. And I mean, they're good in terms of questioning the government on decision making, but asking yourself, really, are you hungry, or is it because you've just watched the news and how you're feeling, and relating to that as well. So other things we would say to do is like organise your environment. So think about where you're sat. Are you an individual that maybe has a fruit bowl in you can see the fruit bowl, and that's why you're sort of feeling hungry, because you can see food. Thinking about like what's on your sides, could they go in your cupboard, so then when you go into the kitchen to make a cup of tea or a coffee, you're not thinking, oh, there's a biscuit over there, I'll grab the biscuit as well. So it's sort of thinking about where the food is in visual, to make sure that that you're not sort of, if you are the one that's sort of snacking quite a lot, that you're not overeating on sort of foods. Preparing in advance is another really key thing to do. Is we have a bit of time to plan and prepare what we want to eat. The most exciting part of our days at the minute is what we're having for tea, and I think we should be sort of looking forward to their meals. And if you can plan and prepare the meals and what's coming ahead, then you're more likely to probably not snack and overindulge, because you've not sort of really thought about what you are having for tea as well. Just going back a little bit, sort of what I said earlier as well, is making sure that you're having the regular meals with a good source of carbohydrate during each meal, and then sort of snacking on pieces of fruit and vegetables in between as well. That's not sort of applicable for everybody. It might be different if you are, like, let's say if you're on insulin or them type of things. So it might just be worth touching base with your healthcare professional if you are changing your diet, because you maybe, let's say you have a time to make a routine while you're in lockdown. Let's say if you've changed it quite significantly and you're having changes to your blood sugars, then I would just touch base with like your diabetes nurse if you are noticing that, and it might just be because your patterns of eating have changed during lockdown as well. What we don't want you to do is hypo because you now got maybe a little bit more regular meals, and maybe you're not eating around like your insulin as much. So it's just to be mindful of that if you have made some big changes to your diet during lockdown as well. So the best thing that we can really do during COVID-19 is washing our hands, staying at home, keeping our distance from people, and there is nothing in diet that can really keep it away. And if you do get COVID-19, it's just making sure that you're nourishing your body with what it needs. Because it's a viral infection, if you are on insulin, you might find your blood sugars maybe go up during this period. And again, I would recommend that if you do get it and you find your blood sugars are going up, then I would recommend that you speak to your healthcare professional around that. During times of infection and stress, naturally our body responds to that, and what we often see is a raise in blood sugars around that as well. The Diabetes UK has a really good resource on the website when it comes to COVID-19 and diabetes. So I'd recommend anybody sort of have a look at that, and there's lots of questions there as well. In particular, if you're shielding and you are them individuals that are doing that. There is so many worries naturally for people with diabetes, because we are finding that it is one of the risk factors as well. And again, they're not sure why within the evidence at the minute, but please be reassured the healthcare professionals are out there. In particular, it can make you feel quite worried that you are going to pick it up and end up in hospital, because that's what the media makes out, because that happens to everybody, but it doesn't. I think just if you are feeling quite worried about that, please speak to sort of a healthcare professional about that as well. Right, I'm open to questions. If anybody's got any, please, if you want to fire away.
Yeah, I'm very recently diagnosed with diabetes type 2. And it actually happened just before lockdown. So one of the things that I'm now missing out on is like the eye screening, which had to be postponed for until I think initially they've said June, but that may be pushed back because I am shielding. I am one of those unlucky people, and I think initially was, if you're newly diagnosed with diabetes, you're supposed to go on a course. And again, I'm missing out on that because I cannot attend.
Yeah.
So
Do you feel like you've been given the diagnosis and then everything's sort of up in the air and actually you don't know what to do next? Is that right?
yeah, I'm trying my best, but it's just there's so much to take in, so much confusion, and
I don't know that you could shed some light on local services. I know some areas are doing sort of group Zoom calls similar to this. I don't know whether locally for diabetes you're doing something similar.
not that I've been made aware of. From what I was told by my diabetic nurse was it's like a group meeting and training thing that happens locally in Doncaster. Nothing's been mentioned to me about anything online.
Yeah, well, is it the DATI course that you've been told about?
The
course stopped, but there's another one. Did you?
I'm not entirely sure. I was told about it, and obviously the proverbial rug has been pulled from under my feet now.
Yeah.
Regards to sport.
A really good resource, Graham, when it comes to diet and when it comes to diet and diabetes is the diabetes.org.uk website. It's got so much information, and I don't know whether you joined it at the beginning of the call. A lot of the things when it comes to being newly diagnosed diabetes is very similar. So having your 3 regular meals, a source of carbohydrate within each meal, and them type of things. But it's got a really good information section on the Diabetes UK, which I know it's not ideal, and seeing a healthcare professional is most ideal, but I think it might just bridge that gap, hopefully, until there are services available for you.
Yeah, in terms of carbs, I have tried to make sure I've changed as much as possible to high fiber stuff, slow burn, low sugar, wheats, and is it wheat? Not wheat. Like brown rices, brown pasta, whole wheat, whole grain. Yeah.
And it sounds like you are doing all the right things with that, reducing your sugar intake, having a higher fibre. What tends to happen if before you were diagnosed, let's say, you're having higher sugars, I often describe blood sugars like a roller coaster, goes up and down and up and down. What the fibre does is help it to stabilise a little bit, rather than having the big ups and bigs down as well. So, and eating the regular meals. So let's say if you had breakfast and then you skipped until tea, then it dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped, and then it spiked right back up at tea time. So what happens with the regular meals is it allows it to have the up and down, so to say. If anyone's just joining this call, I look crackers doing this, don't I? Like
another useful resource. Another useful resource is the bloodsugardiet.org. I think it's .org. If you go onto Google and look for the blood sugar diet, I bought the book and I found it a fascinating read. It gave me a real good insight into diabetes, more than I got on a course I went on in Birmingham. So if you go and have a look on their website, there's a lot of information there. And Diabetes UK is another great resource. I use that quite a lot.
Anybody else for a question?
Yeah, I broke my leg 10 days ago, and since then my blood sugars have gone absolutely crackers, really high, and I'm almost having twice the amount of insulin to what I would normally have, and I'm actually eating probably less than what I would normally have as well. I mean, I've left my long-acting Tresiba as it was, but I'm thinking of increasing that now. I don't have a diabetic nurse direct, so there isn't really anybody as such other than the hospital that I can contact.
It sounds like that you're one of them individuals, maybe that stress has contributed to what's currently happened, has caused it to raise. I'd just be mindful when it comes to adjusting insulin that things can change quite quickly when let's say if you've gone through a period of stress or you've had an infection, let's say even from day to day, the blood sugars might then go back to normalising. So you might find that you put yourself at risk of hypos. That's the only thing with increasing and increasing. Do you have GP support?
Not really, no. I generally looked after by the hospital, Dr. Kang at DRI, but he's just retired as well, so.
I don't know that, Faye, do you have any, like with local services that are available to support this lady?
So one of the things we can do regarding these sessions is if there's, like Graham were mentioning and yourself, Chris, if there is something that you are particularly struggling with, we can try and get in touch with some professionals specific to your needs. We've also got IAPT service on this call who can give us a bit of an insight to what they do and support that they have. But if you want to drop us an email with a specific professional, whether it be a diabetic nurse or something else specific to your diabetes, that'd be perfect. So then we can keep a track of what people are really needing from these peer support groups to get that service in and to help you via the internet. Because like what Graham was saying earlier and what Anna mentioned as well, with the if you're a new diabetic and you've been told, oh, these groups are going to be happening, and then all of a sudden we're in lockdown, we don't know where we are, that's something that we can try and look into for yourself. And like you said,
I've been diabetic for 40 odd years, so
yeah. So if it's like a diabetic nurse that you need, and we can try and source one to put them in these calls, because obviously
and it's typical, isn't it, that you need these services, you've not had them for X amount of years, and then all of a sudden they're all, you feel like they've all shut the door. But it's often just more that we are out there as services. It's just getting people to sort of tap into us, so to say, to really support individuals. And I think sort of GPs are still working, and they are doing a lot of video calls within sort of my local area. But there are services out there, and I think sort of before people sort of make big changes, I would just touch base with them healthcare professionals, because what you don't want to do is make anything worse for yourself. So I think, like Faye said, it might just be worth bobbing her an email afterwards as well. So yeah, I mean, sort of with the IAPT service, David, I can see that you're in the call currently as well, and I talked a little bit about sort of times are quite difficult and how people are feeling at the minute. I do have another meeting I've got to get off to. Is it all right if I hand over to David just to sort of touch base on what services are available? Is that okay?
That'd be perfect.
If anybody else has got any questions, though, please email sort of the email, and then Faye will let me know, and I can always just liaise back with the team, sort of the Well Doncaster.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Anna. It's been really
no problem. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Cheers.
So yeah, we're just going to hand over to David. He's from the IAPT service. So David, over to you.
Long-term conditions team. So IAPT is improving access to psychological therapies, and we specialise in supporting people with managing their long-term condition, but also specifically their mental health. And obviously, with the times being as they are at the moment, people's mental health is being significantly impacted, especially if you're in lockdown and you're kind of in your own sort of personal quarantine, because the more isolated you get, the more anxious you might feel about the outside world, the more that you might feel that you're getting quite lonely or depressed. And as a result of that, that can then impact on our diabetes management or our long-term condition management. As we've already mentioned, your blood sugar levels can be impacted on significantly when we're stressed. So the way that the service works is if anyone on this video call was interested, you would contact the single point of access number, and what they would do is they would make a referral through to our service, and we would contact you initially over the phone. We'd do a round about 45-minute to an hour assessment to determine whatever needs you may have. And then what would happen after that is we would support you with CBT techniques to teach you techniques to help you to manage your mental health in this current climate, in this current circumstances. I'm saying a lot of acronyms there, but CBT stands for cognitive behavioural therapy. I don't know if anyone's heard of that or knows anything about that. Some nods, some not. So cognitive behavioural therapy, cognitive is your thoughts, how you think, behaviours, what you do or what you don't do, and how these are impacted on when we are anxious or low in mood. So what we tend to find is that people will do certain things when they're anxious and stressed that short term maybe have a benefit, but long term they can have consequences that impact on them. So for example, you might find that you're becoming more avoidant and you're wanting to stop doing things, or you've gotten out your routine, or maybe you're not bothered about taking your insulin that day for whatever that may be, because you're depressed or feeling stressed. Maybe we want to avoid it, and as I say, short term we get that relief from not doing that particular thing because we kind of shut off or go to sleep or disappear in computer games, Candy Crush and what have you, because we're that bored. But then obviously long term it can have a big impact on people. So if you were interested in the service, we do that assessment and then we provide guided self-help techniques to basically train you to become your own therapist, to prepare you so that even when the therapy is finished, you have something in your back pocket to help you when things get too stressful, whether that's breathing techniques, whether that's sleep hygiene, whether that's worry management. We've got lots of different things that we can cover for people. So if you are interested in that, the way that would work is, I don't know if everyone's got a pen and paper, but the telephone number, if everyone's okay, is 01302 566 999, and that will get you through to the single point of access team. Thank you for that. And that'll get you through to the single point of access team. And then if you ring them and explain your symptoms and what you're experiencing, they will then do a quick triage and then refer you through to us, and we'll then book you in for the follow-up appointments with us. Once you've had that initial assessment, we will then be contacting you on a weekly or a fortnightly basis to support you with these particular techniques. We're looking into a diabetes sort of a video that we can send out with regards to mental health. And we're looking to a diabetes group similar to this one. There's lots of things that we've got going on, kind of bubbling away in the background. But yeah, that's kind of how it works. We'll be monitoring your mood, seeing how you're going, providing that support, even if it's only, a big part of it can be just that well-being chat once a week, where we check how you're doing and we do some bit of work with you and try and support you that way. So if anyone is interested, that's the number to ring. Has anyone got any questions on the IAPT long-term conditions team? Anything that I've not explained very well there, or any questions? No? So yeah, so that's how it would work. And another time what we're looking at doing is getting one of our practitioners to join in on this meeting and deliver some mental health tips to support people anyway. So maybe if you have a listen to that meeting and see if there's anything there that you feel is relevant to you or that's interesting to you, and that again might be another time to refer into the service or ask any other questions if you're interested in that. So yeah, that's the IAPT long-term conditions team.
That's perfect, David. Thank you ever so much for that. It's really useful. I know you've just asked, but are there any questions? Has everybody seen the number? Write it down, yeah?
Yeah, I think that was very useful.
Yeah.
Very useful.
Yeah, like David mentioned, we're trying to get someone from IAPT to log into one of these calls as well, because like you were saying, Chris, earlier, with your insulin and your blood sugar levels spiking, like this might be really useful for yourself and other people who are struggling this moment in time, and yourself, Graham, when you said obviously you've just been diagnosed and you're not sure where to turn. Obviously this service is a fantastic service, and it is there, and it is still, the doors are still open, and like what Anna said, it is a bit, you're not sure where to turn at this moment in time. Everybody's a bit uncertain. So yeah, is there any questions in general for either myself, David or Marianne, or even just a general chit chat between each other? Anything that you've been struggling with, and see if Chris or Barry, if you've been experiencing something that Graham could help with how he's been coping, or vice versa.
I've been coping quite well, actually. I'm taking my blood sugar levels every day and monitoring that, and that's been fairly stable for the past 3 or 4 months. So I'm quite pleased with that. I'm not really sort of anxious about my diabetes. I've been type 2 diabetic now for about 3 years. So I've got used to different things. Unfortunately, eating habits have gone by the board. Being in lockdown, it's gone a bit haywire. So I've got to sort of get that back on track. And I do understand how Graham feels, but so there are a lot of resources out there, and Diabetic UK helped me an enormous amount to try and understand what was going on. Thank you.
Has anyone been experiencing any anxiety symptoms or stress or anything that you feel like, can you ask questions about or anything, or?
Plenty. But
You plan to, yeah. I mean, I can sort of briefly, I don't know if it's helpful, but from an anxiety point of view, sort of explain a little bit how that interacts with diabetes, if that's helpful for people, or I don't know if that would be helpful or not. Or so one of the things that you would learn if you were to refer into the IAPT long-term conditions team is the concept of fight or flight and how that impacts on your body. So there's a part of your brain called the amygdala. So if you imagine your brain, I don't know if everyone can see me on the video, imagine your brain's this big, your amygdala is about that big. And what that is it's a threat response, and it fires chemicals into your body to prepare you to deal with danger. Now, the unfortunate thing with a situation such as now, which is COVID-19, is that the threat level is enhanced for everyone. Everyone's survival mechanism is kicking in a lot more easily than it would have done previously, because there is a threat out there, there is danger. We're being told that if we leave the house, we could contract this horrible disease. So what happens is the amygdala, unfortunately, it's a very primeval part of the brain, and it doesn't recognize the difference between a physical threat like being attacked by a bear compared to a different type of threat, such as a virus or financial problems or relationship issues. And unfortunately, it triggers the same fight or flight response as if we were being chased or attacked by something, even though we're not. And what this fight and flight response does is it increases your heart rate to pump blood into your muscles, to tighten your muscles up, to give you that extra strength to fight the bear or run away from whatever danger there is. It also will increase your breathing because we need oxygen as fuel to basically give us that extra energy to fight the bear or run away from it. So it has there's a lot of different chemical reactions that the amygdala will trigger. And unfortunately, in a period like now, that amygdala is on high alert all the time. So all it can take is the smallest thing to trigger it, and we get a physical response. And unfortunately, the physical response, when it's referring to things like diabetes with blood sugar, and when the physical response is to increase your heart rate, what that can then do is have an impact on how we're feeling, how we're managing as blood sugars, as we've already mentioned, that kind of stress level. So that's kind of a little bit of the science behind it. And sometimes being aware that actually when I'm stressed, these physical symptoms that I'm getting is actually a result of my amygdala triggering, and it shouldn't be, because I know logically I'm okay. Unfortunately, the amygdala doesn't know that, and it will fire off no matter what, because that's its job. Its entire job is to keep us safe. So what you may find is when you've got long-term conditions such as diabetes, and when you're in a scenario now where if you go out, you could catch this, and this could be very dangerous to you. You know, it could be threatening. We don't know. We might be okay. There's a lot of people that are, you know, okay with it. But what we're being told by the media is that this is an extremely dangerous thing. You may find that your stress levels are firing off more. You may find that your anxiety is kicking in more, and things that wouldn't have stressed you out before or irritated you before are happening a lot more now, and that's because your amygdala is in this fight or flight mode. What we do in our service is we train you up about that, we teach you about that, we teach you relaxation techniques, breathing techniques, problem solving, how to manage those negative automatic thoughts that come in when we're worrying. So if you're noting that that's kicking in a little bit more, I mean, I think as Barry said, if he's coping okay, that's absolutely fine. But if you're noting that these are starting to impact on you, then that's where our service would come in, and we would teach you more about that and how to manage that going forwards. Is that helpful for anyone at all, or is that just me just waffling?
No, it makes sense. It's, yeah.
Okay, that's good. So yeah, I mean, like I say, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more to it, but generally speaking, if you're noticing that your anxiety is triggering off more, that will be the reason why your amygdala is noticing this threat, and as a result, it's impacted on your blood sugar levels and your management of your diabetes as well. Okay.
That were really, really useful. Thank you for that, David. Really insightful. Are there any questions on that? No. Right, well, brilliant. Thank you ever so much for everybody who joined today. Just before we go, is there anything else that anybody wants to mention, or anything else at all?
I just, sorry.
No, go on. I'll speak at the end.
I just wanted the email address that you're suggesting to.
Yeah, I have that. I was just about to send that.
All right. Oh, good.
Because I was just going to say a bit following on from what Faye said before. This peer group is completely for you. It's got to work for you. So if you had any feedback, any ways if you wanted to, how you thought would attract any new people to see it, and anyone you want to hear from, we're happy to get whoever you need. It needs to work for you. So please just if you don't want to say it in front of people, just send it to that email, and we'll see who we can get for next time.
Sorry, the email, it was that Marianne.
Yeah, Marianne.
Yeah, unfortunately, it'd gone off by the time I'd written it down.
Oh, sorry. If you are you on a computer?
I am, yeah.
If you just click on the chat bit at the bottom, or press Alt+H, it'll come up at the side.
Alternatively, you could email.
I've got it, yeah.
Yeah, you could email them an email as well if you wanted to. So that's just Doncaster, that's one word, at doncaster.gov.uk. So that email, if anybody's watching this back or listening to this back, it's just Doncaster@doncaster.gov.uk. They all come through to the same people, so we won't miss the emails.
Or if not, there's a phone number on the poster as well.
Yeah.
If you wanted to text that or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lovely, thank you.
So.
Brilliant. Okay then, so are there any last questions or comments? Right, fantastic. Well, thank you ever so much for everyone who joined today. Thank you. I know she's obviously left because she's got another meeting, but thank you to Anna, the dietitian, who has given us a whole bunch of information. Again, if you want any more information from her, or if you've got any questions, please just email one of the emails that we've just provided. Whichever one is best for you, even if it's just a comment or a bit of feedback, or again a question for Anna. The number as well for IAPT, I'll just repeat it one more time, it's 01302 566 999. And obviously David's on this call now, so I don't want to speak for David, but if you do want to get in touch, just drop us an email, we'll send it to David, or...
Yeah, that's fine, yeah. However you need to, whatever's best really, but yeah, we can have referrals from external services, so that's yourselves as well. So if there is anyone who needs us, then yeah, that's absolutely fine as well.
Amazing. So the next meeting won't be next week, it'll be the week after, so it'll be on the 13th of May. Yeah, gosh, this year's gone quick. So obviously, if there's anything that you want to say in that meeting, or anything that you want to bring to that meeting, Barry, you've said a lot of interesting comments on any books and things that you've read up. more than welcome to come back and share those if you want to give us a little show and tell about them, because that were really useful if I'm honest. But apart from that, I hope everybody takes care. Keep safe, keep well, keep washing your hands, keep your distance, but most importantly, stay happy and stay healthy. Keep active as well and stay connected with everyone. So thank you ever so much for your time this morning, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you.